the community exists. It's how we're tapping into it. It's how can we participate in the community, that community of finders and fixers. So we have, our dev advocates, and they go out and they, speak at events and they inject themselves in the conversation. And then we have our developer relations folks and community managers, and that's more focused on platform community, as you're probably familiar with it, trying to reach developers where they live,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
That's the important part of community.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Welcome to another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here with Jason Baum from Sauce Labs. Jason is the director of community there. And Jason, welcome aboard. Good to have you here.
Thanks, Andy. Great to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited about our conversation. Tell me a little bit about you and what you're doing at Sauce Labs.
Sure. So I am the director of community at Sauce Labs, like you said, currently responsible for building and maintaining their community for the company. It's brand new, so we're just kicking it off. So it's kind of forming a community from the beginning, which is a lot of fun, a lot of work. But I have a great team, and that's really what my role is there. I have a pretty robust background in community, about 17 years. In addition to that, I'm a podcast host, and I am I have a background in radio, TV, and I just pretty much done it all.
Love it. Love it. And I'm so excited about talking with you about building community. Talk to me first about what Sauce Labs does and who you are and how you help your clients.
Sure. So Sauce Labs is a continuous testing platform. It's built in the cloud for test automation purposes. And really, at the end of the day, we are just trying to help software companies make the best possible software possible. And the only way to do that is through continuous testing. And so, the platform itself is really just a means for the companies to create the test or to run the tests. And so what we try to do is help the companies make the perfect test, because a lot of times what you run into is you're not really sure how to write a good test. That's probably the number one issue that we see from customers. And so, through the community and our outreach, we are trying to teach so that, you can go back and that you can create the successful app that creates a frictionless experience for your customers.
It makes a lot of sense. And having developed software myself, I know that that's an ongoing problem. Tell me a little bit about the engagement. How does it work, right? So I'm a software company. I know I need to do testing. I probably do some internal testing myself. I come to Sauce Labs and I say, how can you guys help me? What does that conversation look like from going to that point to then me becoming a customer? And how does this help me as a client?
Yeah, I mean, look, as far as my interaction there, that's really more on sales. I try to definitely treat community separate from sales and marketing.
Yeah.
From my standpoint, where we operate in the world of community, we're there as a friend. We're there, either you're a customer or you're not a customer. To me, well, I hope you become a customer, but I'm speaking to the world of testers. I'm speaking to everyone who interacts with testing in some capacity. And what we've identified and what we're all seeing in the tech industry is this global shift left that it gets talked about a lot. And you have QAs, who are your traditional testers, who are being asked to find the bugs and now fix them. And you have developers who are being asked to, who are developing the app, and now they need to go back and test it. So they're fixing and finding. So you have people who are finding and fixing problems, and that's really who I'm talking to.
I think.
And my job is to just make sure that we educate them, make them feel kind of respected. There's this feeling of being left out when you have skill gaps, as different problems arise and being asked to do things that you weren't maybe asked to do before. And so for a community, that's what we're focused on.
I see. Okay, and that's good orientation. I appreciate that. So tell me a little bit about so the people in the community are they primarily testers, or are they testers and developers as well?
Yeah, both. And that's the thing. Developers are testing now, with the DevOps helix that you might be
Yeah,
aware of, continuous testing. Testing happens several points of the software creation process.
yeah,
And so now for being able to move fast, continuous delivery, continuous improvement, you need to be testing at all phases. And so that's why now you have developers testing as well. So, we have traditionally, Sauce Labs was born from Selenium, and Selenium is traditionally used by QAs. Now we're expanding our reach. We have, in addition to browser testing, we have mobile testing, we have visual testing, we are AI testing. We've got it. We run the gamut,
yeah.
and that's meant to attract all different types of people who are interacting in the world of testing.
I see. Very interesting. Okay, cool. That's very helpful context. So tell me a little bit about what goes on in the community, and how you're helping to go from this new community to, to a fully fleshed out community. What does that roadmap look like? It sounds
Boy.
sounds like a mountain to climb, but I'm curious to kind of hear the path a little bit as to how you go from here to there.
Yeah, it's funny. Community can mean a million things to different
For sure.
people and different reasons for creating community. And certainly the company itself has a reason for creating community, and SaaS businesses in general have purposes in creating community. But I like to go back to the core sense of, what community is. And that's just a group of people who share a common interest or a goal. And for us, that could be customers, employees, stakeholders. It could be anybody leveraging the product. But at the end of the day, I take a step even back further, and I don't think of it as we're creating a community. The community exists. It's how we're tapping into it. It's how can we participate in the community of finders and fixers. So we have, our dev advocates, and they go out and they, speak at events, and they inject themselves in the conversations and write all sorts of content. And then we have our developer relations folks and community managers, and that's more focused on platform community, as you're probably familiar with it, like our Slack, or a discourse forum or something like that.
Yeah.
And then engaging on all of the different social media platforms and groups and live streams. We are developing a podcast ourselves. And we have a Twitch channel, a YouTube channel. So, trying to reach developers where they live,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
That's the important part of community.
Yeah, I love that. And we always champion, yeah, you have to have a ubiquitous voice now these days, because you got to go fishing where the fish are. Definitely.
That's right. Yeah, there's a saying, like, right, the movie, if you build it, they will come. And in community, it's if you build it, they might come.
Right. Or
So,
you got to
yeah.
go find out where they are and then go
Yeah.
build it.
Exactly. We're doing minimal viable communities, and so all that is just little test experiments. You do a meetup here or a meetup there, and if you get 5, 10 people, that's great. And then just ask them to bring one more person, and just like that snowball, you just keep it rolling. You
Yeah.
just can't invent communities out of the space. You have to actually go out and do it.
Yeah, I love that. That's a really good way to put it, because and it's a lot of like, it's agile kind of way of thinking about,
Mhm.
in the same way that developers develop in an agile way, it's developing community in that way, and seeing where there's a feedback loop, and you get some positive results, and then you put more wood on that
Yep.
fire.
Yep. Exactly.
Very cool. Very cool. And so that sounds like there are a lot of moving pieces, because you have all these different communities within that. And so, Howard, tell me a little bit about how you organize your own testing kind of environment, so that you can say, oh, there's feedback with this particular community, whether it's in Twitch or whether it's on Slack, or what are you looking for that is that spark that helps you kind of say, okay, there's something here.
Yeah, I mean, it's building in public, We always ask feedback in every step. I'm a big believer in I don't want to be surprised down the road when it's not adopted. I think the trap that a lot of people in our world fall into in community building is that, well, hey, in anything really, when you're developing software too, is you think you know everything that they want. You go through a discovery phase, maybe you talk to a certain survey group, but then you don't continue to talk to them. And I think as you develop and as things are changing and as you're trying to add features, you need to be asking constantly, is this something you want, to your audience? And then once you've created part of it, put it out there, release it, give them some sort of sneak preview, and ask for insight. And then at the specifically at like live events, what I look for is not necessarily it's not necessarily a spark. It's more, did people show up? Okay, so 10 people showed up for our first meeting. Okay, you know what? That's great. As long as they're engaged, they had a good time and they came up to me and they're like, this is great. I can't wait for the next one. That's how you know that you have something. And then you challenge them usually, I'm so glad you enjoyed this. Bring a friend next time. And now all of a sudden that 10 became 20 and that 20 became 40 and, and so on and so forth. And that's how these things are born. But before you even start, you need to figure out what are the problems that they have. And so when you're talking in these smaller settings, it's a really good chance to just say, look, what are your hopes, your dreams, your desire? Well, maybe not that direct, but that's what you're looking for, is hopes and dreams and desires. The worst communities to me are the Q&A communities, because you come in and you ask your question, you get your answer, and then you never have to come back.
Right. Yeah, that sounds like it's very transactional, whereas the opposite end of that spectrum is more of like consultative kind of an approach where where you have the sharing kind of community where people are sharing ideas with each other and cross-pollinating ways that they can be able to help each other out.
Exactly. And that's what a community, isn't that everything? Isn't that what community is all about?
That's where value gets created, right? Is you've got a peer-to-peer kind of environment where people, you ask the community and somebody chimes back with a useful response, and that then becomes, then value is created, right?
And I try to see even further beyond like the creation, the actual creation. And I see 10 steps down, I don't want to be doing these meetups. I don't want to be hosting them. I want the community to be leading them. Right. I started this meetup in Boston. Great. Now I'm going to hand this off. I started it. Maybe there's 5 other people that I want to run it with. And then I'm going to pass it off and have a succession plan. And look, if one person takes it all on, they're going to fizz out, they're going to phase out in a year. There's no way they're going to continue. So I'm a big believer in the volunteer approach.
Yeah, I like that. And I'm curious to know, like, are there tools that, like, I think of successful communities, like HubSpot has a good, thriving community. Apple's developed great, developer community, of course, naturally. So is Google. And these leading companies that have done a good job at doing that. It's hard. There's nuance to that, but also what's part of that is usually like a software kind of stack or some kind of marketplace of tools that become useful in this, because not everything is a hammer and a nail that you need to solve a problem. So how do you envision leading the community with various software tools or other ways that you can augment those conversations?
From a tech stack perspective, there's so many tools out there for communities, and I've used many of them. And look, I don't think there's any one magic bullet. I don't know if there's something that's perfect. I know that it's evolving and changing, and I like to change my approach and try different tools. Because at the end of the day, the community is not the tool. The tool is helping us to do what we need to do. In fact, we're looking to launch. It'll be the first time I start a community this way. I'm exploring starting in either Slack or Discord, utilizing a chat channel rather than a forum for the first time. And that kind of goes against my philosophy and many community builders' philosophies of that forums are a more appropriate way to have a community. But there are things that I like about chat channels when starting from scratch. Like I love how easy they are to access. They're frictionless. Most people are already on them. If you're at work, you're most likely going to be on Teams or Slack. And yes, the majority of people are on Teams, but smaller teams are on Slack. So most people are on Slack. I think that we might be launching ours in Slack. But again, I went back to the community and I said, what do you prefer, Slack or
Yeah,
Discord?
right. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. And that's
Yeah.
just makes it right in their workflow.
Mhm.
And it seems also like there could be a way to be able to archive some of these question and answer solutions in a wiki, sauce wiki or what have you, right? Something like that, so that you can have a place to archive it, so that the key nugget ideas have a place to live.
And Wikipedia is just another community. It's true. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just another form of contribution. And we didn't even talk about open source, and that's a big piece of what we do. At Sauce Labs is our open source office, and as a community team, we made it a point of our strategy is going to reinvigorate our open source. Being able to recognize the people that do submit and are working on our open source projects and contributing and being at open source conferences and representing and speaking and supporting in as many different ways that we possibly can. In fact, we're running this program that we're really excited about. We just launched called the Community Fellowship, where we have taken on 5 individuals who have had a really tough time breaking into tech because it's really hard to get into. And these are individuals who come from backgrounds that make it even more difficult. And we are trying to foster diversity, inclusion, and equity in open source specifically. So these individuals will be open sourcing this project that we've had for a little bit that needs some assistance. And we're going to be providing them with mentorship. They're going to be getting sort of this grant, and they're meeting all the time so that they can work and collaborate as a team in a real tech company, which is invaluable. And so we're hoping that this is a successful program. It's off to a great start, and just another way that we're trying to give back to the community and grow our own.
I love it. It's a reciprocal kind of thing, and it's a beautiful way to be able to, take people who are early in their career and give them a path forward, so they have a professional, career and outlook, and a path where they can connect with other people in the community, maybe get jobs, through some of those people, and in the meantime, be of assistance and be a contributor to the community.
Exactly. Yep.
Very cool program. I love stuff like that. Tell me a little bit about some immediate growth, kind of areas that you're focused on. What does Q1 and 23 look like for you versus Q2 and the arc of 2023? What are you looking to accomplish?
Oh, there's so much, so much when you're starting out, really. I could say everything,
Right.
but really what we're focused on right now is content creation. I mean, we're always going to be focused on content. Content is king these days, right? Or king and queen. And so we're focused on creating channels, like I said, on YouTube and Twitch, and developing those into, my vision is I would love to see them almost as like running our own NBC or ABC or CBS or whatever, and having a constant stream of content on there for anybody who develops an application, really, and make it entertaining. And it doesn't have to be, not all content driven by a company has to be boring. We can make it exciting and fun and have a personality. And that's the beauty of what I think community can add, and feedback. So programs from the community for the community. Twitch is obviously live stream, so that is a very much a community platform. YouTube a little less. And that's phase 1, while we're also launching our Slack or Discord so that we have a home for the community. And then we'll be expanding that. We're going to be creating as the year goes on, sort of a learning center or learning library that we're hoping to expand in addition to the project that the fellows are working on, which is focused more on open source. And while this is going on, we are going to be traveling to events and speaking and doing as much evangelizing as possible.
I love it. That's really exciting. And you are speaking my language with all of that, as you know. So I'm excited for you. It sounds like
we are in the best department in my mind. There's no, what I do for a living is a lot of fun.
So good. I love that. Well, congratulations, Jason. It's been a pleasure talking with you here. I guess my last question for you here is, in a year from now, what would you like to be celebrating?
Oh gosh, there's so much I want to celebrate. Well, hopefully Christmas. I hope to be celebrating just the successes of my team, like personally wise. I think the success of the company, obviously, it's one of the goals. It's one of my, it's a KPI. I think the success of individuals that make up the team is what's truly worth celebrating. And so if I do my job as really, they're doing the majority of the work. I view myself as sort of the coach. They're the players on the field. And if I do my job correctly, I'm going to put them in a position to win every single week of the year. And I think that's something worth celebrating.
Love that. Well, it's a great note to end it on. Jason, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Jason Baum from Sauce Labs. Go check him out.
Thanks so much, Andy. Really appreciate it.